Well, hello everyone. This is Referee Rudy Diamond here at Drinkin at Moe's, and going to be doing a podcast today. So hopefully you both do enjoy this.
All right, everybody, taking time out before we get this show started. I want to thank Reaper Apparel for having Drinkin' Mo's be a brand ambassador for their clothing line. They got good stuff. They got t-shirts, they got hoodies, they got beanies, they got lots of great stuff, encouraging everybody to break out of their comfort zone, live their best self, and hey, it's something I try to live every day. Now, be sure when you go and you're filling out your order, use the code Drinkin' at Moe's, get 10% off, and the link and the code will both be in the description. Let's fucking go.
All right, everybody, and welcome Drinkin' Moe's. Big Mo here. You know the drill by now. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, hit that damn notification bell so you don't miss a minute, because that YouTube algorithm is a pain in the ass. We are most places you can find your audio podcast too, so leave a review there. Today, I'm excited to have with me a member of the 2024 Nebraska Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, Referee Rudy Diamond. How you doing?
Oh, good, Sir Grant. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on. It's definitely my pleasure.
Hey, I've been excited about having you on, especially ever since the news came out about that honor. Very well deserved, because let me just tell you, if you're those that will listen to this episode, if you're not from the Omaha, not in the Midwest area anyways, and you don't know my guest, you are probably, I would have to say, one of the most over refs I have ever seen. Like you people, they introduce you at the shows, and you get more cheers than some of the guys.
And once again, we had a show, what was it, 2 weeks ago, PWP, and someone came up to me and says, well, we know who the stars are. It's you and there was one other wrestler. And I'm like, well, thank you. But yeah, it's only sometimes, maybe it's because Rudy's so easy. Rudy, so that's part of it, I think.
That could have something to do with it, I would imagine.
Yes. So
first thing I like to start off with each guest with is what got you started off as a fan, and then what made you decide to, make that leap into the business and get into the refereeing side of things?
Okay. No, great questions. So, as a kid, you get to see fighting going on, and it's so over. What is it? Dramatic. It's just an interesting thing. You get to see these villains or heroes, depends if you like the heels or the face. And so I don't even know what got my attention, but obviously I liked it. I'm older than some of the others, and so I'm able to come up in different time frames and different wrestlers and how it was on cable. But it was the NWA. It was Bob Geigel was out of St. Louis, and they would tour. Well, they would come into Des Moines, because I'm from Newton, Iowa, the other side of Des Moines. And they would come in there once a month, and they would bring in Bulldog Bob Brown, was one of the Mike George. But they also had, like, Ric Flair, Harley Race. They were traveling the belt at that time. And so Bruiser Brody, Abdullah the Butcher, they were the Rockers before it was Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty. They were the Rockers. They came through there. Rufus R. Jones. So we would go every month, and it was just amazing. It was just wow. It was like, as a younger kid, it was just a great theatrical. And then I started watching it, because of the WCW, and then WWE got big, because WWE for WrestleMania. That was the year I graduated high school, was '85, and so I watched on a little bit different level type deal. But I was always a fan, and then I joined the military. And there was a few independent shows that came in through Colorado. I was stationed in Colorado, And so it kind of followed that. And then when I got into Omaha, I was here 93, 98 the first time. So sorry, that didn't even apply. But 2000, came back 99 to 2005, and OWA had started up. So I remember going to a few of their initial shows. And then I went to Germany in 2005, and I would come back in the springtime to visit my daughter, being a divorced parent, a divorced dad. And we were at, I believe it was GameStop, I think is what it was called. But anyway, over there in La Vista, and there was a flyer on the counter, and it advertised a PWP show. It was going on that night. Me and my daughter were in there, and it was at the Armory over in Council Bluffs. So we went. And so every time I came back, I always tried to make sure I was around one of those shows. And then I moved back here in 2011, and so they've still been running, and Magnum was going, and so I just have always been a fan, and I really, it's a great passion. Now, I was going as a fan, and we going to the Armory. Grant, that's how me and you know each other. Both of us are fans. We know each other before we were refs. Okay, before I was a ref, and so. And I've been reffing for a while now, so it's hard to believe it's been this long that I've been following the independent wrestling. But Magnum owner, being Jason Strife, we'll go with, he had put out an ad because I was a fan of Magnum, a fan of PWP, all the locals. And
I remember when that ad came out. Yeah.
Yep. And so, I thought about it, and talking to some of the other friends and fans, and I was I've been doing this. November would be 9 years, so I was 48 at the time. Not going to be a build wrestler, retired military, so I never pursued that. But anybody want to be a referee or a manager, and so I went ahead and went through Jason Strife School. I trained with Tim Boston, Michael Tanaik, I think that's how it's pronounced.
Oh, yeah. I forget how you pronounce his last name, but I know the guy you're talking about. Yeah.
And Chris Magnificent. So we trained out of Jason Strife's garage. And so that was like 8 weeks, 3 nights a week type deal. But yeah, that was 8.5 years ago, 9 years ago in November. So he liked my work. And so I was fortunate enough that there was a spot for me. One of the refs from Magnum was leaving. And so I was able to just kind of move right in. And I had my first gig was with what was it, Njpw up in Sioux Falls for Eugene Tinsmore.
Yeah.
That was my professional, or that was my, as a professional referee in wrestling, that was my debut. So, but that's what got me into it. So, been a fan, and then the ad was out there, and I've been enjoying the ride ever since.
That's awesome. I do remember a lot of some of those shows when I first remembered bumping into, and yeah, when I heard, I almost actually joined that class, but yeah, that's a whole nother story for another time why I didn't.
Right.
Nothing against Strife. It wasn't anything to do with him or any of that. It was just a really weird situation that came up that,
right.
Yeah, long story that I will go in off camera, maybe. I don't know.
No, but you're good. What's amazing is my I gained my most respect for Jason Strife by going to his school, because I also have a very unique story, and it was amazing how it worked out. And we can talk about it on here if you want to, or off camera, doesn't matter. It's a great story, but definitely one of the most respected guys in the wrestling business. Definitely one of the greatest.
You know what? I got my own with him, so I'll go into mine, and then you know what? We will go into yours too, because I actually met Strife down in Southern California. I was stationed down in San Diego, and it was for awesome. Promotion SoCal Pro up in Oceanside.
Yep.
This was around the time Magnum was doing the SoCal spot shows. They'd have a match or two at different promotions. That's where I met him at, and I remember when they ended up bringing the former Ricardo Rodriguez in, and they had during the build-up, they had the last time that those two had faced each other. And if you look, I remember, I can see myself front row in that video.
That's awesome. Yeah, see, that's what's nice now, and because I'll put a plug in because I work for multiple companies, so I'm don't want to not plug any of my companies, but if I do miss them, I apologize. They're all entertaining and different in their own way. But PWP's got the Patreon, and what I love about that is it's really nice to go back and see some of the people we know now when they were a lot younger, or see me and you in the crowd. It was I didn't even know this. I had to ask. I think it was Chris there, the owner of Chris Metry. I had to ask him about one of the referees. He doesn't wrestle anymore, but yeah, I had to ask about it. Like, yeah, that's who it was. He started off as a referee. I didn't even recognize him right away. So, but yeah, it was interesting. But
you said you had a story.
Yes. Well, so here we go. The ads out. I talked with Jason. Yeah, Rudy, come on over. Half payment up front, or we can work something out. And I'm not going to go into how much it was. Not a big deal. So I agreed to do the class. No big deal. So I get the class, and of course this is somewhat new as far as the training. I don't know how many they've done before, but I don't know if he'd had a referee class. And so I get there, and he's like, well, here, there's a hard cam, and here's the horseshoe, and you just get in there, and Rudy, you look like you know enough about wrestling, and if you, if I see anything, I'll let you know. And I would get some feedback here and there, but that's kind of what my 8 weeks was, and it was repetition. I did learn things, but I felt that it wasn't a proper school that I paid the money that I paid for. I had paid him about half of what I owed him, and then it was a unique situation where he knew probably something was different. We didn't really talk about it. And so I never did pay him that other half. And I felt bad. It was one of those things I didn't feel that it was worth that, what training, and so he worked me at Magnum, and I went to the first show, and it was, I think, with the Fireman's Hall there, and it was with, AJ,
oh, yep, I do. AJ Styles.
Yeah, that was one of my first shows. And I thought, well, maybe because I'm still new or green, I didn't get paid. So I didn't think anything of it, no big deal. And then the next show I didn't get paid. And, it was like a few others. And it was like, well, maybe it's because I still owe them, Well, then I actually didn't get paid for the first probably 3 years with Magnum. Now, here's the situation. Me and Jason, much respect.
Oh, yeah.
Here's what was nice about it was the advantage was, because not saying we make a lot or don't make a lot. It's not about the money and all. We do what we do because we have passion for it. But when I left, when Magnum was done, I would be able to go up to Jason and say, he'd like, hey, you available next month? Yeah, sure am. Hey, great job, good job. And I'd walk out. So I was leaving Magnum 5 minutes after the show's done because I wasn't getting paid. I just tell them bye, and and I'd go on my way. That was a nice advantage. So then the Comic-Con shows PWP does Council Bluffs, Mid-America Center every year. In fact, we're coming up, I think, end of June. So I was working, and they do 3 1-hour shows. And so I had worked, Friday and then Saturday, and I had a Magnum show, and we were at the side room. And like I said, me and Jason never had really conversation, lack of communication. And I blame that on both of us. But at the same time, we kind of accepted, I didn't pay him all the money because I didn't feel I got the proper training, but I wasn't getting paid for reffing. And I've been doing this for like 3 years. Yeah. So I come over, and it was that weekend, that Saturday of Comic-Con, and I just got done working 11, 2, and 5 o'clock hours, 3 1-hour sessions. And I get to the venue, we're at the side room, and there's 8 matches, and I'm the only ref. And I'm tired. And, as we get more irritable at times when we're tired, it is. So I'm like, I got to say something. I've been doing this for free. I just came from there. I got 8 matches. And I'm like, Nate, we need to talk. And he's like, Rudy, what's up? And once again, we had mutual respect, never lack of it ever. Oh, yeah. And I said, I got 8 matches. I'm the only ref. I said, coming from Comic-Con, I'm probably whining. I'm tired, And I said, I need to start getting paid for this. What do I, we need to talk about this. And and this is where I gained the respect for him that I'll never, I was amazed. But he's like, Rudy, he says, how long have you been working for me? And I'm like, well, about 3 years. He goes, I would have said something a long time ago. And I was like, I talk a lot and never lost for words. I just shut up and went on my way and then started getting paid and everything. And so years would go by because, like I said, that was like 3 years in, and probably 2 more years or so, or 3 years ago, he's like, "Oh, Rudy," says, because the schools continued and grown, gotten better, and different locations. And he's like, "Oh, Rudy," he says, "just want to let you know, everybody, including the refs, go through the full training." And he kind of pulled me outside, let me know that. So it was we kind of both learned from it and grown from it, and I gained so much respect for that at that time. It was just amazing.
Oh yeah, no, I've got nothing but great things to say about him. Like, okay, we weren't always like best buddies,
Right.
We didn't have that sort of a relationship, but there's that level of respect to where, like, if a misunderstanding came up, we were always like, I was always able to be like, hey, I think there's a misunderstanding here. This was not meant this way, or whatever it might have been. And we're all cleared up. Like, when I got the opportunity to go to the Warrior Wrestling Fan Fest when it was in St. Louis, they had a St. Louis stop. I'm like, man, I was planning on going to your show, but I got this opportunity. I can't pass it up. And
Oh yeah. So
and yeah, that's actually where I got to have my mini episode with Bronson Reed.
nice.
Yeah. Oh my God. That, because you talk about the level of respect for Strife, which, I mean, he more than earned any of that he got from everybody.
Oh, yeah.
But I gained somewhat of that for Bronson Reed because I had a piece of my equipment broke in travel. I didn't realize that until I got to the venue. And he literally let me have a window of time right when the fan fest ended to right when it's like, okay, he had to go put on his gear. And it was like the show was, you could hear the crowd music going, and I'm like, do you get, like, I remember being like, you gotta go? It's like, no, we're good. So it was just like somebody of that stature that has been, been on the big stages, been over to Japan. He's given somebody who, I'll admit, I felt a little out of my element. So he was giving me that time and, helping me along a little bit. But,
right.
For somebody that was still relatively new to the game at the time, that meant the world, made me feel so at ease.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's the nice thing about it. You don't ever want to forget where you came from, because even at one time for him, he was green. So through our experiences, we get better and we get older with some wisdom. So it's nice. So we always have to remember that as well. We're all people. It's just doing what we love.
Oh yeah.
So some people get paid for or known for it more is all.
Oh yeah. Now, you mentioned one thing that Mr. Strife told you about even the referees going through the full training. Well, I was curious. This question that I have here has kind of two parts. One, any differences between the two? Like, is there like any deviations that you remember? And did any of that military training and that mentality help you along any bit?
Okay, so he had told me that, like I said, a few years back, that everybody was going through the training, and I've been through, or I've gone, and witnessed or helped or wanted to see what the school is about. So I stopped in and seen what they're like, and so there was no difference. It's one of those things to where they were all going through the same warm-ups, and you got to do, let's say, for example, front rolls. They'll go ahead and make them do that. And so they were going through the initial stuff. Now, obviously, when it gets to a matter of the wrestling and moves and hold lockups, you're not going to do that because you're a ref. But you're going to still go through the same physical stuff and get okay. So that's what I meant by all that. So
Oh
whereas
no,
before, like it was here's learn how to take certain bumps and things like that. So so that's what he was doing, is putting everybody through versus, hey, hard cam, horseshoe, I'll let you know if you do anything wrong. So that's and we like I said, we both learned from it. It's been great. Now you asked me about the military, if that's helped along the process. But here's the amazing thing: because of the way, and Grant, being a veteran, and thank you for your service. There's a certain discipline that comes with military, and so you apply that in your everyday life, and so it does help in those areas. But it's because it stays with you. It's like muscle memory; it doesn't go away. Good or bad, I mean, people know all the time. And same way, Grant, you probably get the same thing, that people know just by watching how your movements are that you were in the military one time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, I definitely had that, and that I've been lucky enough to talk with a few different veterans, including one that was actually just this last Monday, as of recording. That it seems like that mentality and the training, at least especially for the people going through all the stuff that the wrestlers do, is it kind of helps them along with I know when I was going through boot camp, there were definitely those times where I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I here? And then you get that mentality of like, you know what, this is going to be good. I'm going to be fine. We're going to do this. And pushing through that, like, what the fuck am I doing here? And just getting past that definitely helped him. I know, hell, it's helped me through a bunch of stuff. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what's amazing is you did that as a young adult, so your mind's still developing to where you don't even know. So you have every right at those moments, because it's a big shock factor. You're not in the military, especially basic training. Once you get groomed and can step into what the normal routine is, it's not hard, but it's challenging, and it's not the normal everyday lifestyle. But same with my daughter, she's in the Air Force now, and I've been in for 7 years this August. And I told her what the hardest thing in basic, because we were talking about it, what the hardest thing, and for me, the hardest thing in basic training for me was, you get up so early with the PT and the marching and the classes, and then you want to put me in a classroom environment after lunch, and you want me to stay awake. But you woke me at 5 o'clock this morning, running me all over the place, and now you want me to stay awake? What? That was my hardest thing. Because the other stuff kind of all falls in place, because you're in a group and you get to see everybody go. That's what's nice, even in the wrestling class. You get to see everybody else do the same kind of things you're doing. So you're doing it as a team. And so you have that team concept, which is nice.
Oh yeah, no, that's that staying awake part, especially during those times, like you mentioned, that was definitely one of the harder parts for me, because let's just say oh god, this was just the being woken up really early, and just that initial days of like, what? Okay, I'll get my shoes.
Yeah. But it didn't take you long before you were all ready to go. A week later, you're like, oh, this is nothing. In fact, even afterwards, you might even find yourself waking up those early morning factor. But the staying awake, you're just so exhausted. I had to make sure I would sit in the front of the class, because if they catch you, you got to stand up and all that. And so I purposely would try to always get a seat at the front of the class, to where that would make me want to stay awake, easy, concentrate on staying awake versus just getting lost in the back row. That was the hardest thing for me.
Oh yeah, like I got lucky. I was on my, in the Navy they call them RDCs, but the drill instructors basically.
Right.
And I remember we were doing something in our compartment, and we were all sitting together, and then I must have nodded off for like a second, and I look up and he's looking at me, but like I was on their good side, so he just looks at me and is like, you know what to do. I'm like, Yes, petty officer. And got going,
Yeah.
and then like maybe a minute later, maybe even less, it was like, okay, you're good. But
Oh
then
yeah.
I'd see people same thing, and they'd be like practically swimming in their own sweat by
Oh
the
yeah.
time they were.
Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
I got very lucky. I was on my drill instructor's goods.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I was curious because we talked a little bit before about the getting this honor from the Nebraska Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. What was it like for you when you got told that that was happening?
So, part of it is, I, okay, so as you come up, and now I'm going, like I said, going to my ninth year. So part of it might be the fact is, I always thought, well, I would joke around with my friends where, well, it's like, they would say certain things on how good, Rudy Diamond is, or whatever, used to be in the Hall of Fame or whatever. I said, well, and I would jokingly say, well, guys, I've been getting ready to go on my ninth year because my longevity might put me in there. So, I mean, just because of that factor. So it was kind of funny. I was joking about it and had been for the last couple of years, and all of a sudden it happens. And I was not expecting it. It totally was a shock. So it's been an honor. And so it's just, I love the fact that there is a Nebraska Hall of Fame, Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. I don't know I know you've seen it, but they travel around.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, if you get a chance, try to get to a show where you can see the traveling display of. It's definitely quite the sight to see. So I was totally honored, shocked, wasn't expecting it. So it was definitely a very humbling experience for sure.
Oh, I can only imagine. I know I was lucky very early on. I believe it was the year that actually our friend Chris Havius, aka Chris Metry, was actually inducted that year. And I also interviewed the guy behind it, Donnie Dodge, had
Nice.
him on, and then got invited to, come watch the ceremony, talk to a few people. And it is a very cool thing because, Nebraska, especially in the midst of some other areas in the Midwest having a bit of a independent wrestling boom with like all sorts of stuff. Nebraska seems to be somewhat of an afterthought because I know, at least for myself, I have definitely heard the jokes of Nebraska. People live there?
Sure. But a lot of it's just the unknown. You
Yeah.
ask me, same way. Do you think someone mentions Kansas? Do you think of a independent wrestling scene in Kansas?
You know
You may
what?
not.
Yeah, yeah. Compared to places like, Iowa or Illinois, stuff like that. Yeah, Nebraska and
Right.
Kansas, not so much for a
But,
lot
but,
of
but,
people.
but there are some, I mean, even we talk Nebraska, it's there. You just have to look, it's same way
Exactly.
I bought somewhere and they'll find out what I do or something, or they might see a shirt or whatever. And then they're like, oh, I didn't know this existed. Well, it is out there, and a lot of people don't know. And then, and that's why independent wrestling, you're always trying to make it grow, get more fans. I mean, but it is booming here in Nebraska, I think.
Oh, that it very much is, and hell, PWP doing great things. They have a lot of great talent going through there, and hell, as of recording this, they actually got a free show coming up that I'm excited because I have been meaning to go back to PWP show for a while because, well, they have a special place in my heart because that is actually where I met my wife.
Correct, correct. You were exactly right. I remember that. And you haven't been there in a while, Grant. I have not seen you there. That's why I was wondering. But you've been busy you've been doing so well with the podcast, and I know that's keeping you busy as well. So especially because of the PWP are the weeknight shows.
Yeah, weeknight shows and the fact of the podcast every month it always catches me off guard how fast a lot of the months fill up.
Oh
And
yeah,
then it's also me working in Lincoln, so driving, getting up early, driving to Lincoln, driving back, and then a lot of the times when I get home, I don't really feel like leaving the house.
Right. Correct. Well, you want to be home. You want to enjoy where you live, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Totally understandable.
Oh, yeah. And then that's not saying all the other places and talent. You know, there's been a lot of pretty big names that have come through the Nebraska area. And that actually leads me into a category I have here, a name game, where I name off some people, you give me some quick thoughts on them. And well, at least two of these have actually been through the area, there's a couple on here that they, for one reason or another, had to pull out, but they're still pretty big names in wrestling that I'm pretty sure you're familiar with.
Okay. Now, if not, I get to say pass.
You know what? If that would be the case, then absolutely.
Okay.
So, first one that I don't think you're going to have to say pass for, and one of my favorite short videos that I've done for my the podcast YouTube channel, Mike Bennett.
Okay. So you just want a thought of him, or
quick thoughts on the guy?
Okay. So, wow, very personal. A great guy, an outstanding guy. Worked with him many times. So when we went to Nate's funeral, he was there. He called me out. He even came to me and said, "Hey, Rudy," and for him at his level to acknowledge, to come down, that shows that he has a place in his heart and he's a genuine person. In fact, he's working Wrestle Pro Alaska tonight. They have a super show there, and I had told the booker, because I'm not able to make it, but I told him, "Hey, make sure you tell Mike I said hi." Because the fact is he's in Alaska, and the fact to hear my name up there, you put a smile on his face. But great guy.
Oh yeah, totally. I do remember. I didn't actually get to make it to the funeral, but I was there for the visitation, and I do remember seeing him walk in. I'm like, whoa.
Yes, and I think I might have been wrong. It might have been the visitation that I was talking about versus the funeral.
Oh yeah, no. But I do remember seeing that. I'm like, holy crap, I thought he would have been a little busy, but no.
And then he even acknowledged me and said hey, or said hi to me, and it was like, great guy.
Oh yeah, totally. I've got nothing but great things to say about him. Yeah. That video that he did with me, I went up to him after the show and I'm like, "Hey, I got this idea to promote the YouTube channel." And it was based on that promo where he said, "You know what, I'm going to ball up my fist, punch you right in the wiener, and pull you in for a putt." We did that whole thing.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's awesome.
For the show. And I'm like, oh my God. Between that and when earlier in that night, there was that lull in the match, and I just yell out, "Adam!" Like Roderick Strong on the, and he busted out laughing. And when he told me after the show that popped the hell out of him, I'm like, dude, between that comment and the video, night made.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, next one, Tyler Breeze.
Pass.
He was there the same night as EC3.
Well, no, and I remember the name, and that's what I was trying to, because everything starts to run together. The more you work for the different companies, and so I'm trying to remember the memory, and I wish because I worked and I was there and even worked that match, I don't want to misreference the wrong match.
I totally,
that makes sense.
Totally understand.
I know you're not going to throw a name that I wouldn't know that I've worked with or was there, but trying to remember. Like I said, Mike Bennett's been here numerous times. like I said, personable stands out. That was an easy one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not
Oh
saying
yeah.
anything bad about Tyler Breeze. And in fact, I think he did a seminar that day.
He might have. Yeah. I
Yeah,
forget if it
yeah,
was
yeah.
Tim or E3 that did it, but yeah, I do seem to remember that.
Yeah. So me trying to remember, because when the stars come in, we're independent, we're local. It's thrill for us as well. We're fans of these people, just like our fans.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, you want to give them respect. So,
Oh,
and that's kind of what we do. And and they're here to, and so they've got to work out their things in their match and all that. And so they've got their business they got to take care of. So you don't want to bother them. And so yeah, so some might have more interaction than others, And I'm
oh
a
yeah.
ref, so yeah. But so
Oh yeah. No, I totally get it because hell, with being near 250 episodes, yeah, there's some memories with some guests that kind of get a little fuzzy the further back in the archives that they are. So I can get it. I can get it.
oh yeah. Well, so I have to say this, and he might be happy or mad because he says he doesn't. I never give him a plug, but I'll mention him. And the good thing is you build great friendships in what we do. And so my buddy Moose, he one of my best friends. He tells me it's my dementia setting in. So, but no. So I want to mention thank you, Moose. I appreciate that, and I will Eric as well say hi, give them a shout out as well. So now I
Oh,
put them both over. See, there we are.
hey, there we go. Now,
Oh,
next one, you kind of mentioned him a little bit. But this was like a little further back in the Omaha archives, but still, it was a great night. I remember it well. The phenomenal AJ Styles.
oh wow. So business, no doubt, all about business, but very, and it was personable, but he was right in the middle. I think TNA, I don't know how long he'd been out of
Yeah,
that. So I think the independent thing was still kind of new to him.
yeah,
And we were I think we were in the fireman's hall. So
yeah,
the locker room was overcrowded, and I don't remember that he was up there, because a lot of times when there's the bigger stars, they'll have a separate place. And so I don't remember he'd been up there, but we had a chance to kind of talk to him and say hi and all that, but it pretty much was all business, and it was I think it was a matter of waiting to see what his next move, because it wasn't that much longer he signed WWE. So, but yeah, so
yeah.
all business, nice
I think
guy.
that was
Yeah.
yeah. I think that was in the period between when he left TNA and then he went over to New Japan for a while.
I think yes, I think yeah, that might have been, but yeah. So and like I said, the fireman's hall, like I said, the locker room was already overcrowded for us, and so where he was, so I had limited access or interaction with him, of course, but yeah,
Yeah.
definitely been a nice guy as well. No one's been rude or type deal. So
Oh
right,
yeah. Now, the last but not least here, these guys were scheduled to be here in the area recently, but they ended up getting signed by a certain Jacksonville promotion, the Grizzled Young Veterans.
Right. So I apologize. I unfortunately have to say take a pass. Here's the thing: I work with many groups, and now I'm the independent scene, so I'm very limited on my
On
watching
your yeah, no,
the others outside of the independent scene. As crazy as that sounds, so
yeah,
even when they got promoted, I had to kind of see who they were. I'm not familiar with them at all, which is
yeah.
sad to say. But yeah, yeah, some watch it still on certain levels and others don't, and I'm one of those that don't as much. So,
No,
but
and you know
so
what?
sorry
That
about that.
that is just fine because I know I've had the discussion with a lot of people that sometimes, especially on the independent scene, a lot of their lives gets taken up by training and traveling and different aspects of the business. That when they get that downtime, they don't necessarily watch too much of wrestling when it's like when they're in their downtime. That's their downtime. They
Yeah,
don't want to
it's
watch
not the
what has
wrestling time, right? It's not
going
the
on.
wrestling time. It's not the training time. It's their downtime. Exactly.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So yeah, they came up because, I've met them a couple times, and, they were scheduled to be here. So, they popped up there.
So, well, hopefully in the future you'll be able to make it up and have my show. That'd be great.
Oh boy, that would be the similar thing I did with Mike Bennett. I actually did with them at a Revolver show.
Nice.
So I've been able to talk with them a little bit, but on the show, oh boy, that would be killer.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Grizzled young veterans with a grizzled old veteran. My wife loves to call me old.
Well, everybody likes to call us old, especially if they're younger than us.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the gray hairs in my beard make it kind of obvious, but But yeah, no, Omaha has had quite a few. Trying to remember if this was still when you were around, but Carlito was another one at the Firefighters Hall.
So I was not at that one that I remember, and I'm like, no, I was. But my memory of Carlito stands out more because I worked MAW there, Dinsmore, his promotion up in Sioux Falls, and that was my very first night refereeing. That was my very first into the the indie scene or first night working.
Yeah.
And Carlito was up there, and that was my first interaction up there. So I kind of remember that because it was my first night. So yeah.
Oh no, hey, pretty cool. Yeah, well, pun intended. Cool. Carlito.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. So, pretty nice memory, especially that being your first night out there.
Yeah. Debut of being a referee, correct?
Oh yeah. All right. Now I got some random questions. Some might be wrestling related. Some might not be. Some might have absolutely nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far.
Okay.
That's why they're random. So I give you the question. First answer that pops into your head.
Perfect. And if I use that word pass, then we're good.
If you need to.
I won't. I'm messing. Go ahead.
Nah, it's all good. Two veterans messing with each other. It's all good.
There you go. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know what? If anybody has a right to mess with another veteran, it's
another veteran.
It's another veteran.
That's right.
Anybody else, and it's like, dude, what are you doing?
Oh, yeah. And we would stick up for each other. That's the thing. It's same team, same fight. One team, one fight,
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. So, getting into the random questions. First one, being as many years as you've had in the business so far, craziest in-match moment that you've been there to witness?
Craziest in-match moment that I've been there to witness?
Yeah.
Wow. Now the reason that's a tough one because I've had a couple promotions where I remember Logan Uncaged ran down to jump in the ring and jumped up onto the ring and went to grab the railing or the rope or whatever and slipped and hit the railing or the security rail on the back.
That night. I remember.
Yes. Okay, so that unfortunately, those are things that come to mind. You think craziest as far as in the wrestling, And I was at a different show where a collarbone got broken. Oh gosh, I can't remember his name. He later became a manager. Basinski, what's Belinsky there at PWP?
Oh yeah.
I can't. I apologize, sir. I'm not trying to destroy the name. I just don't remember, and we'll set with that. Bruce Monsoon said dementia, so we'll go with that. But anyway, but he broke his collarbone in the ring. That was working. I've had twice where it was a curse because you hear things happen in threes, but I had two previous matches where someone's nose got broke. Two different shows in a row, and then so I get my next show and I'm like, oh guys, I'm hoping, they say anything comes in three. I'm hoping no one gets a broken nose, and it didn't, thank goodness. Craziest, someone slipping on the ring.
You muted.
Declined it. My apologies there. Are we still there?
That's all good.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
But he had slipped on the ring, and I was taking a ref bump, and he was supposed to hit me, and he did. But because he slipped, it didn't go the way it was supposed to. His knuckles had scraped my forehead. I did what I was supposed to do, and when I was supposed to get up and come back to, I'm laying in a pool of blood.
Oh.
So that was I've had some unique, crazy moments. And one of the funnest, probably craziest moments is at an anniversary show last year. I got to do a roll up on a wrestler and they counted 1, 2, 3. I won, and the crowd goes crazy. I don't know if you heard that show. That was a year ago, but yeah, that was crazy.
It's entirely possible I might have been at that one.
Yeah, but that was a lot of fun. That was crazy. So
I do remember, I believe, seeing, if I wasn't there, I do remember, I believe, seeing a video of that, and I'm like, oh, dude, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, it was so much fun. So much fun.
Oh yeah, so many fun memories in wrestling. I know I've witnessed a few crazy moments myself, including one involving a mutual friend of ours, Brandon Juarez, the guy that introduced me to my wife. It was one of those multi-ladder matches where like they had the guardrail bridge between the ring and the guardrail, and he had a guy up on his back like a Sheamus's white noise, the head down here.
Oh yeah.
And then I see him look down at the ladder. I'm on the other end, and all of a sudden he jumps and ladder.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, ow.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Being a ref, it's kind of nice because I get the front row seat of every match that I'm reffing, and it's amazed because I know what it is, and most people, it's wrestling and all that, but I'm amazed at what these people go through, and I'm like, I'm like trying to always check on them because it's like that looked like that hurt way more than it needed to.
Oh yeah, and that's why whenever anybody uses the term fake to me when it comes to pro wrestling, I'm like, predetermined, maybe. Fake, you go do that and tell me what you think then.
Well, and what it is, it's choreographed, and there's nothing wrong with that. It is choreographed, okay? I'm not going to say predetermined because things change and can.
That they do, yeah.
And so I don't ever say predetermined. I just say choreographed. But I will tell you, you want to jump off that top rope and land on your back in the ring? Go ahead and check that out. See what that does for you. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just one example. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
These guys put their lives and bodies on the line every time they get in there, and just amazes me, impresses me more and more. Especially even because, like I said, we said choreographed. The fact that the talent that they bring and put the show on, they do. It's just amazing.
Oh yeah, and that is a much better term for it, choreographed, because there's much like even before the show, they say the card is subject to change. Right. Even in the match, stuff might happen, but stuff has to change.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Now, having been a referee for 9, 10 years.
Going on 9, 8.5, going on 9.
8.5 going on 9. There have been that many matches that you've been a part of. If you could pick a dream match for you to referee between anybody, who would it be?
Bruiser Brody against Harley Race.
Yeah, that would be epic. Bruiser Brody,
he's my favorite wrestler. Wrestling wouldn't be where it's at today if there was no Harley Race. And you talk about mean. Oh wow, yeah, that was a no-brainer for me.
Oh yeah,
like I said, I grew up in a different era. Like I said, WWE WrestleMania. It's just 85 was the first year, and that's the year I graduated high school. So I've been following it. So some of those names, a little bit older, but not.
Oh yeah. No, I was born in '83, so when it comes to Bruiser Brody, some of those memories that I do have are kind of very fuzzy, but I do remember initially being freaking scared shitless of him, but then going back And watching him, I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I love that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's people out there with some of their entrances that definitely remind me of like Bruiser Brody-esque. Like,
Oh, of course. Because
like,
we all learn from each other. You know what I mean? To pick up certain
oh,
things we can use here and there, and so you're going to
oh
see
yeah,
some of the styles, and that's what's kind of nice because that just shows that some of our guys that have moved on or passed on are still. We hold their memories by kind of using their examples, and that's kind of nice to see.
oh yeah. And just the way he would come to the ring,
Oh,
sometimes waving that chain around. And I'm like, looking back, watching it, I'm like, oh my God. I gravitate towards those intense personas.
oh
And
yeah,
just watching him, I'm like, God damn, I wish I was just a little bit older so I could have remembered
yeah,
a
yeah,
little bit more of him.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Definitely. That's awesome. I don't know why I wasn't expecting him, but we brought up Bruiser Brody earlier. So
Right.
makes sense, but oh my God. Yep. So many memories coming up. His episode of Dark Side of the Ring, one of my all-time favorites
Oh yeah.
series.
Yeah.
All right. Now, with the military and wrestling, lots of travel involved. What is a favorite place of yours that you have traveled to and have a one that you might not have been to yet?
Okay. So have traveled to favorite place. My daughter military Alaska, so I had the fortunate pleasure of working with 907 Pro up in Alaska, and that definitely a favorite place as far as travel to by far. Yet to travel. Now my daughter's in Colorado, and so I'm kind of excited to go see her there and kind of check out the independent scene. And she's in Colorado Springs, and then check out the Denver area as well. So that's some excited for that one. So
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to have been to both. My 40th birthday, my wife surprised me with a trip that my whole family surprised me once we got there. We stayed at a cabin outside of Winter Park,
nice,
and we actually had a bear go through the dumpster.
right? Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And me being the crazy son of a bitch I can be, I was like the damn croc hunter. I'm like, Croc, you let me go see how close I can get.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
And then my wife practically screaming at me to get the fuck in the damn
Oh,
cabin.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
All right, that is awesome. Now, oh God, I was just remembering Alaska because I said I had been to both.
Yes,
My wife and I, our honeymoon was on an Alaskan cruise.
nice, nice,
and
nice.
and I actually got to mark off something on that honeymoon because up until that point, the only two states on the western half that I had not been to were Washington and Alaska. And
Nice.
our cruise left out of Seattle.
Very nice, very nice, very good.
Now I've been to the entire western half of the United States.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, something little cool memory for me, and
Oh yeah.
travel. All right, now with the name of a show like I have, I would feel weird if I did not have this question in here. Favorite drink, whether it be alcoholic or non or one of each.
Wow. Favorite drink. Okay. Wow. Gosh, that's a hard one because I drink a lot of different things. So
Same.
probably my morning caramel cappuccino K-cup every morning.
Okay.
So and I don't drink a whole lot anymore. So I don't alcohol wise, I'm just gonna leave that one alone. So
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
I know myself, I do not drink as much as I had years ago. I'm more of a social drinker whenever I do anymore.
Yeah.
Every now and then you'll see me having a beer while recording the podcast, but that's about the most I do by myself.
Right, right.
But other than that, I'm a bit of a Dr. Pepper fiend.
And it looks like Diet Dr Pepper, so I see that as well. So
Yeah, I do enjoy the regular, but medical reasons and my wife's doctor kind of trying to convince me to do it. So I'm like, okay, fine.
get rid of sugar, so you'll do well. Anyway, enough about that.
Yeah. So yeah, we're something I'll go into off camera. But yeah, like I said, I make it non and alcoholic because, for one reason or another, there's lots of people out there I've had on that don't drink. They're either straight edge, they're in recovery from an addiction,
Right.
stuff like that. So trying to be as inclusive and respectful as I can.
Absolutely.
All right, now coming from a Hall of Famer, I am looking forward to hearing this. Best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling?
Okay, so great question, Grant. Thank you. Or not your question because you asked for advice, but we get approached all the time. How do I become a referee or wrestler, things like that? If you're gonna do something, give 110%. Okay, and what I mean by that is a lot, and most of our guys in the wrestling business are athletes. And so if you want to get into the professional wrestling business, the gym is part of that, or the workout. Live it, and that's what I mean. Professional wrestling. So professional wrestler, be that professional. So live what you are. Give it 110% and go after it. Don't think you can't do it unless you tried. And even if you tried and failed, you've at least tried. And
Yeah.
try again. And so my biggest thing that I tell people, go for it. But if you're going to go for it all the way.
Oh, no, most definitely. And then, it gets brought up a lot when I ask this question that it's like, you know what? Maybe you try the training and you find out that, the in-ring wrestling side of it, maybe that's not the part of the business for you. So you can jump into one of the other many parts of the business.
Look what you're doing, Grant. Look what you're doing. You know what I mean? That's what we talked earlier. It's not cut out for everybody. I'm not going to be a wrestler. Okay, being a ref, I do fine. That's fine. But I know it's not me as a wrestler. But it's okay because I'm going to turn that passion into what I can. So even if there are fans out there, you can be the best fan you can ever be. And we have someone out there that are identifiable. Be regulars. And so we all have the same passion. We all want to do some of it. It is hard work. It does beat up the body. In fact, to be honest with you, I almost sometimes want to tell people you don't want to do this only because I see the injuries, the years the damage that it puts on the body. But I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm not going to tell anybody not to do something that you think you might, pursue as a dream or want to do. But that's one of the things that over the years there's a lot of wear and tear on the body.
Oh no, most definitely. And then what? Also a good thing, there's other aspects of in the business sort of thing, but there are those fans out there that being that best fan you can be ends up getting you pretty damn identifiable out there. Just look at some of the regulars from the original ECW. You watch them, and there's the same people in each video. And there's a lot of people, with the Performance Center, with NXT, a lot of the same people around there. So, you know what? You get those people out there, and, you'd be like you go to a WrestleMania or something, and you see them, and you're like, oh, I remember seeing you on whatever.
Right.
Most definitely. All right. So before we go, I know I only know you on social media on Facebook, but any other social media you have, go ahead, plug it. So that way, anybody that doesn't already have their eyes on you, they can go ahead and get them there and maybe catch you at a show.
Well, Grant, thank you very much. So here's the crazy thing. Because I'm a little bit older and I come up into the dinosaur generation, I think it took me a little bit to get to your Zoom. So I do have Facebook. Facebook page is Referee Rudy Diamond, all 3 words. And you request me as a friend, I can go and accept you. That's the one that my main one that I stay. But I do have trading cards and shirts at not all the shows, but if I'm there, come up and see me because I usually have them with me. It's a passion of mine, and it's one of those things. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm not saying that whether it's famous, not famous. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. So I don't have an Instagram. I don't have all the other stuff, but I'm very personal. If you see me, you come say hi, please do so. So and it's one of those things. If it comes across they're important, even the fans of the shows will come up and maybe not know me, but come up and say hi or say something, So for me, that's the greatest face-to-face is in person. So come check out the show, but it is Referee Rudy Diamond on Facebook. But I believe that's all I have at the moment.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? You wouldn't be the first one that I've had on that just has that, because I know Bull Buchanan, former WWE Tag Champ.
Yeah.
Facebook is literally it. So wouldn't be the first. And I will guarantee I can verify it to anybody that ends up watching this episode. You see Rudy Diamond at a show, one of the most personable people out there that you can meet at those shows. Ooh, hey, I enjoy every time I get to hang out with him, even for a little bit at some of them. It's been a while, so I'm looking forward to the next time.
I hope so, Grant, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. We talked about a show tomorrow, a free show. Hopefully we'll see you down there. But Grant, thanks for having me on. Definitely, I know we tried to work this many, many times, but our schedules didn't allow it. So I'm glad. And I felt bad keep having to change it. So my apologies there. But thank you so very much. It was a pleasure for sure.
You're very welcome. And you know what? I know schedules, stuff happens. So you're all good. We got it done. This was a great episode. I'm trying to remember before we head out, the Hall of Fame ceremony. It's towards the end of June, right?
I believe it's June 30th. They're doing it at the waiting room in Benson.
Yes.
I'm not sure total of the times. There is a flyer out there on it, and you go on the Facebook on my page. I'll share it and all that. But it is June 30th, so we have a little bit of time. But I'm not sure the exact time yet. So, and that's on a Sunday afternoon, I believe. Yeah. So they're doing a little bit different. In the past, they've done it with at a wrestling show. But this will just work out that they're going to do this kind of go this route with it, and hopefully we'll get a good turnout. It is free to the public, so definitely, guys, you can see some of the other Hall of Famers. I know Hype Gotti's one of them that's going in this year, along with Zach James. So I've had a pleasure to work with both of those gentlemen, and so I'm looking forward to.
Looks like you hit mute again. All right. Well, you know what? That is about all we got. Thank you again so much for taking the time to talk to me tonight. I look forward to seeing you soon. I look forward to seeing you at that Hall of Fame ceremony. And you know what? Have a good night, my friend.
Grant, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Like I said, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. And yes, please come up and say hi next time you're out there, okay? All right, buddy. We'll see you soon. All right, bud. Later.